Hi, I'm Hidor from David Mediation. A while ago on Twitter I did a Q&A about mediumship. So I was quite curious to find out what people were, what questions they had. So there's two questions I'm going to tackle today. One was, when did it start? How did I know? That type of question, which I want to expand on. And the second question was, is this born? Are you born, or can you create? Can you become a medium, even if you weren't born a medium? So the first one I'm going to tackle is about how did I know as a medium? It's a very difficult one for me because I don't remember not being a medium. Is probably the best way of saying it. I didn't know what the words were, but before I could speak, which I'm not doing a good job of even now I'm an adult, I was actually communicating with spirit. I was communicating with my great-grandmother. So as I grew up, I just continued to do that. I always saw shadow men or people. I was communicating all the time to, in the same way babies babble and toddlers do, to my multiple invisible friends. And it's only when you really go to school you notice that perhaps that's not what everyone does. So that is natural to me. It's very unnatural not to do it. And also I'm an empath too, so energy has always been quite important to me. I really didn't understand what I was doing. I just thought, well, that was me. And then obviously when I was younger, it's kind of fine. A lot of people entertain kids when I was giving readings on the bus. I was passing on messages from spirit on the bus, whether you liked it or not. Usually, when I started talking, and when you were about 3 to 5 and you're conversing properly. So I did learn at school that people didn't do that. So you do end up having to curb it and having to learn that that's not what people do and that's not normal. So I did have to. I'm very good at playing it normal. I'm pretending I'm not having multiple messages or people aren't coming through. I'm also very good at passing messages on without actually mentioning where they've come from and dropping them into conversations, because I've always for a lot of my life, I was kind of hiding it. I didn't really want to be seen as, that weird. Even though I kind of knew, I just tried to be normal for a while, for a really long time, and ignored. I still had those messages and stuff, but I tried to hide behind it. It's quite funny actually, the people who call you out tend to be Virgos and Scorpios. So you might say, oh yeah, well I was, you must have told me that. And they'll go, no, I didn't. And you'll go, yeah. Most people, you can fudge that for lots of people. You cannot fudge it by, from a few people. And they are usually Virgos because they remember everything. And they remember details, and Scorpios because sometimes they're a little bit naturally paranoid. I love both, by the way. It's just saying that I was just thinking about that as I spoke about it and realizing they tended to be those sides. So now I didn't start training until about 2009, a proper mediumship training, 2008, 2009. So I kind of decided that I was going to, if this was going to be part of my life, because I realized I couldn't not, it was starting to seep in other areas of my life. So I decided I wanted and I needed to control it a little bit more. And also if you're then going out as a professional, which I didn't know then, I just wanted to control of it. You really do need to understand how to protect yourself, how to be clear, how to get your message across in the right way, how to look after your energy. And I started with physical mediumship, so that's very much about you making sure that your physical body and your energetic body are both clear, that they are looked after, nourished, and also aligned. So part of that became the way I look at life holistically, and why it's very important for me to kind of have natural products and try and eat as healthily as possible. Obviously, I do have Jupiter rising, so wine does feature in there, but wine's now medicinal, isn't it? Like a glass a day, or I don't know. The scientists keep changing their mind, don't they? So that's the first question. And the second question was, are mediums born or created? So I firstly want to separate two things. One is the idea of mediumistic ability. Now, everyone can have a mediumistic moments, probably not so much ability. Everyone can have mediumistic moments. And two of the really good examples. One is usually someone, when they first pass over, they are closer to earth and they can actually communicate pretty much to anyone that's open. So that immediate moment. And then you will find that sometimes there'll be moments in your life that you're more receptive. You can also find that, you know, if you have readers who are doing tarot and various other things, that can mean that they're open to it. But it doesn't mean that they're a medium. It just means that they have mediumistic moments. A medium I do see as a little bit more, having a lot more ability and it being more consistent. Now, are they born, created? Now, to me, there's this whole idea of natural born mediums versus other mediums. I can't think that you would actually have any other way of being a medium. You are natural born. Now, there seems to be two distinct types. Now, one is from birth, which I myself was from birth. And I've had this conversation on one of my radio shows with Sarah Tyler Walters, and we've had this conversation, and it does seem to be there's two distinct, you know, people, they're all born with it, but the second half, it's kind of latent for the formative years of their lives, and then it tends to be an onset, and the onset tends to be quite dramatic. It will be when they've either had a major life change, they've got chronic illness, or, you know, like a trauma, or, you know, like, you know, something like their marriage breaking up, basically a midlife crisis, something that seems to be a catalyst for it. Now, we're both natural born, it's just different onset times, really. Now, there seems to be different reasons for that. Sometimes people need to learn to use it as they grow up, and sometimes it can end up being an obstacle to you. So we all have life lessons, and I don't think I could say 100% on what those reasons are for splitting, but it does seem to be two distinct types who develop it, and it does seem to be around the middle of the life when it comes in, so it'd be like from mid-30s to around 50 when the late when it comes through, if it comes through later in your life, it tends to be around that area. So they're both, one is not better than the other. One, you do have to learn to integrate it, and then the other one tends to be because you integrate it as a child. The other one, when it's later on set, you do have challenges also, but it tends to be, it's easier in some respects because you can get the training, you're kind of more aware of it. But the second thing, it can be harder to be as open because, you know, when you're a child, you just accept things and you go forward. Oh, this is interesting, and you carry on. As an adult, you do end up asking, you know, a lot of questions. Is this real? Am I going mad? All of these things. So that to me is kind of, they both have their challenges, but they're both natural born. So I think I'll end that video there.